I think we are live, guys.
I think so.
Right.
Yeah, and we won't wait too long, but we'll give it a minute or so, maybe for people to filter in before we get to it. I'm really pumped for what we're about to show today. I don't know about you guys. We've been working on this a lot, so
Yeah,
Yeah,
we got
it's
some
gonna be
really
awesome
exciting things to show.
for
yeah,
sure.
very, very cool.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so we had a lot of feedback from the last webinar, so this is for you guys. We heard you. We're hopefully going to give you what you want today. Okay, so while we're waiting, just for people to filter in, let's just do a little bit of housekeeping before we dive in. So we do love as a bit of audience participation. So if you have a question, that's what the Q&A button's for. Go nuts. Every question is a great question, and we're going to treat all questions anonymously. Also, feel free to chime in via the chat with your feedback, observations, or you can just say hello to your fellow attendees if you like. And we always get asked this, will I get a copy of the recording? Absolutely, you will. Everyone who attended will get a link to the recording within 48 hours, so no note taking required. And I am joined today by Farzan and Forrest, whose tech credentials go back to a time when cloud meant actual weather. Guys, you didn't laugh at my joke. I thought that was a funny one. I'm going to have to keep trying. Okay, let's do some quick intros then. So I'm Lou, and I lead marketing and operations at 182, and I'm going to be your guide for today's session, making sure that we're keeping things moving and making sure that we get to all your questions. And you're going to hear from two brilliant people today. So first up is Forrest Murray. He's our VP of Client Service, and Forrest is one of those rare people that has a real gift for making tech feel human, which I really appreciate. He's the one who can break down complex AI tools into plain English and help people apply them in ways that make a real difference in their business. And joining Forrest is Farzan Almanieh, who is our founder and CEO. He's the strategist behind how we're approaching AI with our clients, and he's spent his career helping businesses make smart, sustainable tech decisions, and more recently, helping them navigate AI without getting lost in the noise. And so, just a little bit about 182 for those who are unfamiliar with us. We're a strategic IT partner for small and mid-sized businesses, especially in high regulated industries like legal and accounting. And our goal is to help businesses work smarter by simplifying tech, tightening workflows, and making sure that their tools actually support their goals and not slow them down. So we are so glad to have everyone with us today, and we really appreciate you taking the time out of your very likely packed schedule to join us. So the hour or so that you're going to spend with us here might just give you back hours in the weeks ahead. So this is going to be time well spent. And if you joined us for our last webinar, we talked about the concept of AI, what it is, where it's heading, and what to watch out for. But this time, we're getting to the real question that many of you asked after that last webinar: how the hell do you actually use it? Well, today we're going to show you how. You're going to see three things today. We're going to walk you through a three-phase plan for implementing AI with structure and with safety in mind, because no successful AI implementation can start without a roadmap. We're also going to show you how to build your first AI team member, which is my personal favorite use of AI right now. And we're going to show you how to claim back hours of your week with the CatchUp Assistant.
Absolutely. So how do we have success with AI? There's definitely a right way and a wrong way to go about implementing AI into your business workflow. When it's done right, you're going to have, a clear reason for using it. You'll have measurable results. You'll have tools that are secure and fit each role. And you'll have a team that knows how to use it responsibly. Okay. And that's strategic AI. Starts with your why you're using it, what you want to achieve, and then you plan, execute, and evolve. It's a journey. It's not a install and forget scenario. So let's talk about the plan. This is probably one of the most important places that we can spend our time when we're getting started here. Okay. This is where you need to really slow down so that you can speed up later. You want to identify your why. Okay. Why do you want to do this? What's the problem you're solving? Where can AI make the biggest impacts for you and your business and your daily tasks, right? Is it saving time, reducing stress, improving results? Okay. Next, we want to take a look at your data. Okay. What data are we going to use? Is it ready? Is it organized? Is it accessible? Okay. And your people. Okay. You need buy-in from your team. You know, after you put all this work in, you want them to adopt it too. So they need to really understand the why and be behind the why. And
I
last
wonder
but
if
not least, what?
I was just because you brought up audit your data readiness. If it's a real mess for you, you know, there's an AI to help you with that as well, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. That's a little bit of the rabbit hole you can get in with this, right? You can go, okay, well, I want to accomplish that, but first I got to do this, and you know, that's why we identify our why, we make our plans, and we execute on them, right? So let's not forget about security and compliance, right? And this is not it's not an afterthought. It's really important. A couple of Google searches will give you prime examples of, you know, large companies that had bad AI implementations and company data got out, and you definitely don't want that.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people are really scared of AI and those kind of problems. And the key thing is it's really important that we lean in on this one, adopting it, but with a security mindset for sure.
Yeah. And you know, it's not a boogeyman scenario. It's not scary. It shouldn't stop you from doing it, but you need to be mindful. And if you don't know, ask. You know, that's important because this is important, right? Okay, so let's move on to the next phase, execution, right? So we have our plan, we know our why, we've picked the right areas to focus on. Now we need to test. Okay, so we want to assign, you know, a pilot owner or maybe a small team of you know, owners of getting started here, and have them do some testing. Make sure that you're getting the results from this that you expected and wanted. Then once you have that, you want to train your team. Okay, so you know, you got it. You chose the right tools. I think I skipped over that, but you know, there's different AI tools for different things that you may want to do, right? And so that'll come out in the plan. There'll be, you know, some tools that you'll choose from that fit that in that bucket. So you've chose the right tool. You had a successful pilot. You trained your team. Now you want to, you know, build that confidence in everybody and have them, you know, really lean into it to get those results that you want. And then importantly, you know, you do need to continue to, you know, document and iterate, right? This isn't again, it's not a static, you know, I did it, now I get to move on. I mean, you may have something that is like that, but in most cases, the ones that are, you know, really powerful, they're going to change with you. And you are going to do iterations over time. Okay.
Yeah,
you're not going to get it.
This is how you build confidence.
Yeah.
It's really critical. You know, not by guessing, but by trying.
Right.
Right. So,
Right.
and you know, figuring out what's working and what's not. It's essential.
Yes. Yeah. And you're not going to get it right the first time, right? So you try.
Mm-hmm.
You don't, and you just keep trying.
Yeah.
It's not going to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then let's not forget about security, right? So security compliance needs that always needs to be part of what you're doing. You know, hey, how is this? How is my AI interacting with the public versus, you know, our company? How is my data mixing with public data versus our private data? You need to understand that at every step.
Yeah, you need to understand not having it mixing with the public data.
Right,
That's the
exactly.
key thing right there.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Unless it's supposed to, right? So,
Mm.
you know, you got to think about that. Okay, let's move on to the next phase here, evolution, right? So, you got something that worked, it's going to evolve. I mean, rarely do we, what we decided to do today is the same thing that we want to do, 6 months down the road, a year down the road, whatever it may be. Our ideas evolve. Our other tech evolves. Your AI should evolve with you, right? So you're going to have things where, you're going to scale it. It's going to get bigger. It's going to get better. Okay. You're going to have things where, tech changes over time. There's going to be versions of the different AI tools that you're working with. There's going to be version of the different data sources that you're working with. You're going to need to change it and iterate it to just keep it working within those environments, right? You guys are all familiar with Microsoft updates and how much those, we all kind of hate those now, right? Because they're always on it, happen, flowing down our computers, causing issues for us. Well, that's the modern day security, right? There's things being fixed and
Right, right.
upgraded. Um, and
But with the right architecture, the maintenance that needs to be done can have really low impact. And
right,
frankly, the AI is changing super fast, and we're going to want to take advantage of those in your company. And so you want to be able to build your technology architecture in a way where you can swap in, let's say, the newest, ChatGPT 5 coming out, if that's something that you need to take advantage of. But
right.
with the bad architecture, you can sort of pin yourself into a corner.
So we've
Yeah,
got a couple of, and I'm going to, normally we wait to the end, but I'm going to cover these now because it's related to planning and implementation. How would you event security on some of the tools like lovable.dev?
Right. Okay. So, really one of the things that's you have to start with, think of it like Google search back when we all were starting to use that in companies. You really need to look at how the data is being used. So, for example, you wouldn't go into Google search and search on your social security number or credit card. That's private data. You wouldn't put your company's secrets in there. So, when you're working with different AI tools, it's essential to figure out how that data is being used. Is it being used to train? Is it secure? Is it walled off? That's the first step here. But it's a big conversation because it comes down to API and automation and how you use it. But the key thing here is it used for training? That's where you start.
And then moving into that, we have another question directly related to this, which is, can we initially help clients set up an AI policy or guidance framework that is reviewed by all stakeholders?
Absolutely. Every company should have an acceptable use policy, which includes AI. So everything from how your tech is managed to compliance standards, but especially AI is a hot topic for
Yeah.
sure. And not just that, a compliance policy is only so good. It requires training, and then also there is safety controls that can be implemented. And that really helps because, I don't think anybody tries to do the wrong thing. So putting up some guardrails up really helps.
Okay, I'm going to keep this moving along because I'm really excited about a couple of the examples we're going to show today. And the first one is our ghostwriter.
All right. Okay, so before I jump in here, we're showing you guys an example of a really awesome AI that you can build. What I want you to know is that this is being recorded, and don't feel like you have to take notes or screenshots at this point. We're going to show you a bunch of things. It's going to be really neat, and just be present and check out what we're doing here.
yep,
It'll help a lot.
exactly. You'll get all the prompts and all that after. Yeah, just
Yeah.
just it's gonna go a little fast for some of this because it needs to. Don't
It's
worry,
not.
you'll get it after.
Yeah. All right, let's jump in. Okay, so what's the simple truth here? We don't adopt AI because it's exciting. We adopt it because it helps us do what matters most: save time, reduce costs, and serve our clients better. But here's the part that most people miss. AI is like hiring a brilliant new team member, one that's smart, fast, and never takes a break, but they don't know your clients yet. They don't know your industry. So what would you do? What would you do if you hired a new team member? You would teach them. You show them what makes your clients tick, what keeps them up at night, what they hope for, what they fear. You give them the insight that makes you great at serving your clients. This is why we're starting with teaching you how to create your own personal ghostwriter. Last webinar, you asked, how do we actually use AI? And this is our answer, because once you build this, you'll start to see what's really possible. So how do we teach it? It's 4 easy steps. First thing we do is we define your market. Teach it about the industries you serve. Then we create an avatar, help it understand the people behind the business. Then we build your ghostwriter, combine everything we've done into one voice, your voice. And then lastly, we create your own custom GPT. Take all the prior steps, save them so it's ready for you to use at any time. This is where AI stops being a concept and starts becoming a teammate. So buckle up, stay curious, and let's build something together here, all right? All right. So before AI can sound like you, we need to help understand where you work. That's why we start all this by defining your market. It's not just about who your clients are, but the industries they're in. You know, whether it be legal, accounting, boutique financial services, energy, construction, you name it. Each has its own language, pressure points, pace, priorities. When you do this step, it gives your AI the context it needs to be useful, because if it doesn't understand the world your clients live in, it can't speak to them in a way that builds trust. So this is why we begin here, not with content, but with clarity. So here's how we define your market by actually doing it. You type this into ChatGPT. All you need to do is swap in your own market and location. That's it. Once you run the prompt, ChatGPT gives you a snapshot of your market. It's not just a list, it's an insight. You'll see who these businesses are, what they care about, and how they make decisions. On the next slide, we'll look at the pain points and decision maker details that makes this profile truly useful. This is where the prompt really starts to pay off. Now your AI isn't just seeing the industry, it's seeing the people inside of it, their pain points, their goals, who makes the decisions, what they need from a company like yours. This is the kind of insight that makes your AI useful, because when it understands your clients, what your clients are dealing with, it can speak to them in a way that actually connects. And this is what we'll build on next, by turning this market profile into a real person, your client avatar. Now that your AI understands your market, it's time to introduce them to the people behind the business. A detailed picture of your ideal client. This is not just their job title, but what they care about, what stresses them out, and how they make decisions. Why does this matter? Because AI needs context. If it doesn't know who it's talking to, it can't connect. So instead of writing quote for a business and being generic, your AI starts writing for someone real, someone like Sarah, who runs a small law firm and worries about growth and compliance. This is how we make your AI sound human, by teaching it who it's speaking to.
Yeah, this is the difference. This is where we're starting to get into the difference of something that is, you know, unique and different and really powerful versus like those phone trees that we're all so frustrated with, that is not understanding what we're asking. You know, they're just forcing it through it in some, hey, chances are you're going to want one of these, you know, popular options. This is really where next level of understanding.
Yeah, it really is. All right, next slide. This is the next prompt. Drop in a ChatGPT and personalize it for your business. Swap in your industry. Let ChatGPT build a detailed picture of your ideal client. Let's see what it came up with. All right. Take a close look at these results. Here you can see it has built an avatar that understands emotional drivers and cravings, even story arcs that resonate. What we've done here is build a real, relatable avatar, not just what they do, but how they feel, what motivates them, what keeps them up at night. This is how you train AI to connect on a human level, because when it knows who it's talking to, it can write with empathy, not just accuracy. And that's what makes your ghostwriter powerful. Now we ask ChatGPT for one more thing, a voice your client relates to, not someone who looks like them, but someone who speaks like them, someone they trust, someone who could deliver your message in a way that really lands. This helps AI write in a tone that feels familiar and well received, because when your message sounds like someone your client already trusts, it connects. And this is where it all starts to click. You've taught your AI about your market. You've introduced it to your ideal client. Now it's time to bring those together and train it to sound like you. This is how your ghostwriter becomes a real teammate. You can write blogs, emails, onboarding guides, whatever you need. Do it super fast, clear, and always in your voice. And this is the best part. You don't have to train it once. After that, it's ready to go anytime.
And anywhere for any team as well. This is everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, not just for one person either. You can share that with your team. So how do we do it? Here's exactly how you do it. Using this prompt with the information you brought together in the previous steps, and you create your guru. To bring it together, you give it your market, your avatar, the tone you want to use. Like we touched on earlier, you really need to think a bit like onboarding a new teammate. You're not just teaching them what to say, you're teaching them how to say it. Once this is done, your ghostwriter is ready to do all the blogs, emails, and guides to actually connect. And at this point, the ghostwriter is trained. Take a moment, look closely here. It's even built a fictitious person and gave them a name.
I feel attacked by that. Old enough to have battle scars, but young enough to groove on Slack.
Yeah,
it's that level of detail. It's awesome.
Yeah, really, and it makes the difference. This is the difference between prompting and doing agentic work. All right. So now we need to take all this hard work and save it into something that we can use and share with our team. You've taught your ghostwriter everything it needs to know. Now we turn it into your own custom GPT. This isn't just a prompt anymore. It's a custom GPT that remembers your tone, your goals, and your audience. It lives in a workspace your team can use anytime, ready to go. This is where AI stops being a tool and starts to become part of how you work. So here's how you create that GPT. 3 super easy steps. Give it a name and description. In the instructions, you put in the information we built from the previous steps, and you just click save. That's it. You're ready to go.
Simple,
You did
right?
it. Agents trained, saved, ready. Now your whole team can use it anytime for anything, and we'll show you what it can do. This is the funnest part. All right. So next slide. Yeah. Now that your agent's trained and saved, let's put it to work. All right. So just ask it to write an article, a blog, a newsletter, a LinkedIn post, whatever it is you need. It knows your market, it knows your clients, it speaks your voice. This is where AI starts delivering real value. So for example, in this example, I asked it to write a 1,000 word article. Let's check out what it did. Take a look. This was written not by a person, it was written by your agent. But it doesn't sound robotic. It doesn't sound generic. It sounds like you. It sounds like your company's brand. It sounds like someone who knows your clients. This is what we mean by AI as a multiplier. It doesn't replace your voice, it amplifies it. It takes what you already know, what you already care about, and it helps you do more of it faster, smarter, and with more time to focus on what really matters, serving your clients. And this is what the power of AI can do when it's trained right.
And I hope people are really understanding the possibilities of what this can do. You know, this isn't just for speaking to your clients. It speaks to your internal culture. It does your training guides. It does your onboarding. It can do content for you. So when people are seeing this, I think what we're really hoping for everybody is that you see the broader picture of exactly how this can really help every department and every person within your business.
Yeah. Yeah,
We have
definitely.
another question. What does GPT stand for?
Uh,
Do you know, I had this the other day, and I'm terrible with acronyms, but I think it's and if I screw this up,
I
I'm
should
never
be
going to
able
live
to
it
answer
down.
that.
I think it's
Isn't it generative predictive text?
Yes, that's right. Actually, that is how the technology works and what makes large language models unique and why we're in the craze that we are is just kind of a little the background of how it works. It doesn't actually complete a whole thought at once. It actually, each word it reevaluates the next word.
You know
It's,
what? We've
it's how
got
the
some
generative
different
works.
answers that have been coming in from it. I love this. So,
Mm.
so clearly there's more than or there's more than one for this. Generative pre-trained transformer,
That's it. That's the
gen
Mhm.
one.
general purpose transformer. That was a question mark. I think that's a great one. Generative pre-trained transformer. Yeah, generative pre-trained transformer. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
So,
Hey.
who's feeling like this right now? Yeah, probably a few people, but this is definitely what I look like when someone mentions prompt engineering to me. So that was a lot to unpack, but you can get from here to here, holding hands with your AI employee, apparently. Look, that's an amazing use of AI that can cover so many tasks, and it really does address a lot of the important areas, you know, cost savings, time savings, increased efficiency, and results that are really consistent. So, have we all had a good breather?
Jump right
Actually, we've got
in.
one more question before we move on, which is, so do you build this Ghostwriter in the business level package of Chat GPT?
Yes, you do. Yes. So I think the minimum plan would be a pro plan to do that.
Okay. All right. We are going to switch gears to another example. And Forrest, you're going to show us something cool with Microsoft Copilot.
Yep. So like the pro plan, or if you're a Microsoft house, you know, Copilot is a great tool, and with the licensed version, you get a lot of really great functionality where you can, again, we're talking earlier about walling off, you know, what you're using the AI for versus the public. Copilot really allows you to lean into that with your emails, your SharePoint, your chats. It's a pretty powerful tool. So we have a great example here, something that we all deal with on a somewhat regular basis, if not every day. But you know, it's CatchUp, right? So you've been out on PTO, or you've been in back-to-back meetings, or you're just buried, right? And all of a sudden you've got 100 emails, you've got 15 chat threads, and 6 meeting recordings that you got to go through. This is where something like this CatchUp Assistant can really come in handy.
Yeah.
Tarzan, you want to take us through how to
Yeah.
get
Yeah,
this, make this
exactly.
happen?
Yeah. So take a look at the screen. This is what makes Copilot different from tools like ChatGPT. While they're both smart, Copilot's connected. It pulls from the tools you already use every day, like Outlook, OneDrive, SharePoint, and Teams. And that means it knows your meetings, your chats, your files, the real work that you're working on every day. And it gives you just what you need without digging through everything yourself. This is AI that fits into your day, not the other way around. And it does this with all the security and privacy that you've come to trust with Microsoft.
And so on security and privacy, I don't know if this is a question or not, but I'm going to say it's a question, which is, I'm terrified that if I let Chat GPT remember and know everything about me, and someday that will get hacked and somebody will have access to that information. So you just touched on security and privacy there. So that's
Yeah,
let's dig into that.
yeah, I can touch on that a little bit. So, in the context that we're speaking about it in this example, this is something that is already tied in with all your information. So in this scenario, like, look, I'd like to say, hey, it's never going to happen, but there is no such thing as never in cybersecurity. So, in this example, if somebody were to breach this aspect, the Copilot, the licensed Copilot aspect, that means that they had also breached your email, your files, your chat, likely. So, is there risk associated with this? There kind of is in everything in our technology these days. The idea is that you want to make sure that you're doing the due diligence to protect that stuff. Make sure that your IT team is providing that cybersecurity support for you. That's really key in this day and age. The days of I just have my antivirus, my firewall, and my Windows updates. That's the old days. You can't do that anymore. It's not good enough.
Yeah. And it's really tempting because we all want to get real work done. You load up ChatGPT Pro and there's all these connection buttons to connect to everything that you use. And it's really easy just to hit connect.
Yep.
And there's some serious ramifications for that, especially if you're a business. If you're a business, that's extremely dangerous. So where your data is and how it's being accessed and making sure you're keeping track of that access and making sure it's still secure, it's really important. And in this connected, very, very fast market with a lot of really great benefits, security and compliance can go to the wayside a lot. And we got to make sure we don't do that. And, there's really a lot of benefits to it too, from a speed standpoint. When Forrest earlier said sometimes you got to slow down the speed up, that is absolutely true here. With the wrong architecture, wrong practices, should there be an issue in the future, which probably would if not done right, it all has to get unwound. And that step back is significant.
Which is why when you go back to our plan, the planning phase of this is really, really important.
Yeah. Yeah. So doing it right in the first place really just smooths out the future. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. All right. So let's walk through what this actually looks like when you use it. Okay. So on the screen, you'll see an example of what Copilot and of 182's CatchUp Assistant gives you. Real tasks for real work. This isn't ChatGPT guessing based on some prompt. This is your assistant that's actually connected to all your Microsoft technology. And this is what AI is not just being smart, it's plugged in. And so here's an example of what CatchUp Assistant and Copilot gives you. This is a real world example. This is my personal account. I asked it to catch up for me when I was out of the office. This summary was created by the assistant automatically. It pulled from a meeting, a chat, a few emails, and it gave me this. You can see the key decisions, the action items, and what's coming next. This is what it makes ChatGPT makes Copilot different than ChatGPT. It's not guessing; it's connected, and it's not just helpful. It's fast, secure, and it's like always ready. All right, let's take a look at another example. All right, in this message, I typed into CatchUp Assistant. Show me all the communication related to Mozilla from the last 10 days, including key decisions, updates, and next steps. Now, Mozilla is a new vendor for 182. Now, I've been working on a deal with them this last week, and I wanted to catch up on it fast. So instead of digging through emails, chats, and meeting notes, I just asked the assistant. And as you'll see in this next slide, I pulled everything together for me, clean, clear, one place. It gave me exactly what I needed to know without the noise. Let's check out what I did. Here's a real example. In this example, you'll see my user account. I asked it to catch up. And this summary was provided automatically. It pulled from a meeting, a chat, and a few emails, and it gave me this. You can see the key decisions, action items, and what's coming next. This is what makes it different than ChatGPT, not guessing. As you can see here, there's a DocuSign that I needed to sign, and the project implementation project. So this was absolutely critical in jumping right in on this project and getting it to move forward. Let's take a look at another example.
I think I'm going to go to a question quickly. What's the app you need to download to use the CatchUp Assistant?
Yeah, so CatchUp Assistant is something that 182 made on top of Copilot. So you'd have to have Copilot, and you would have to work with us to get that module. But if you have any questions, happy to share insights on how's that put together. We're a community. We love helping our community. So there isn't really like a walled garden here at 182. We're trying to help as many people as we can.
Yeah, I mean, this is all about, we want to empower you, not put another stranglehold around you that prevents you from using AI. I have another question here. Can I use the CatchUp Assistant with Gmail and Google Calendar?
No, you cannot. Not the way it's coded right now, but we could just as easily make it connect to that as well. Yeah, that would not be a problem.
Yeah, this example was specifically using Microsoft Copilot with Microsoft 365 tenant, and those two have a very close integration. So, Gmail and Google, you'd be looking at like ChatGPT.
Yeah, I think I just saw a great question come through. Does the data get sandboxed? Is it safe for my client, for my patient data? If it's in the Microsoft side of things with Copilot, you have to have the licensing. Yes, it is protected. I believe, don't quote me on this. I believe Microsoft has $100 million bond for that. They wanted to give everybody super confidence in using their Copilot. It works for us. I got to tell you, that meant a lot for us.
Right.
For sure.
And just so that everybody understands, your Microsoft subscription actually comes with Copilot, but it's not the licensed version. So you actually have to add the licensed version. So if you are just using the, quote unquote free, I know you have to have a Microsoft subscription to use it. If that's the one that we talked about, that, it's like putting into a Google chat. Everything that you put in there is actually going to make the AI stronger and better, but it's going into a public database.
Yep. And so looking at this slide here, I touched on it just a minute ago, but look, I needed to sign a DocuSign. We had a discussion about implementation strategy of the new product. This is all while I was out of the office. I didn't have to dig around and, search or guess what's going on. And this is exactly what it looks like when AI is actually useful. This is the difference. It's not just about it being smart, it's about being connected. And that's a super important part of making AI work for your business.
Yeah, yeah. So you'll notice this isn't, are you ready? Question mark. This is very much, you are ready. Fazon Forest, thanks. That was a great session. There's a lot to unpack. We do have some questions to get to, but hopefully everyone is feeling empowered to hit the ground running with this, applying some of what we showed you today. So you've seen the framework, you've seen how it works in practice, and hopefully you now have a starting point that's grounded and realistic and doable. So whether you're thinking about your first use case or even your fifth, you've got the foundation here to move on from AI curiosity to capability. You are ready. And if you're still unsure, that's what Q&A is for. So sorry, Fazal, go ahead.
I'm sorry, without moving forward just yet, download our report. It's free. It got awesome information in there. You could literally take that report and run with it. It's not just, telling you stuff. It's like showing you how to do it. And it's meant for business leaders. So whether you own your own company or you're just a professional at your firm, that report right there will get you really far. So you might want to check that one out.
Okay, so I've got a couple of questions before we move into the questions that were submitted in advance. Is Microsoft To Do, OneNote, and Loop included in CatchUp Assistant?
I do believe To Do is. OneNote is slightly. It's being evolved. So this is a fast moving thing that's going on, and AI is being integrated. And frankly, when Copilot first came out, and if you ever tried it when it first came out, it was kind of stinky. It wasn't very good. Very frustrating. But
That's
Copilot,
a technical term too, stinky.
yeah, it is.
Okay, let's move on because we do have a lot of questions to get through.
Yeah,
I want to
right.
go back to the Ghostwriter very quickly. Rather than describing the voice, can it be pointed to a file or group of files and then ask it to perform a task, e.g., like replicating a voice or synthesizing a message, etc.?
Absolutely. That's actually the kind of work that we do. That is the frontier we're on right now, is being able to not just have like a robotic response, it's actually to teach it. And why we gave this example today is just the tip of the iceberg and what's possible. Yeah, that's absolutely the way to do it. And frankly, it gets a lot bigger in that because files are just really not organized in a way that AI wants to read them. Kind of works on a small scale, but if you want to get really sophisticated with you start having to use databases, and we looking at databases differently than we ever have because of AI. So it's a big discussion. Maybe we'll have a
Yeah.
whole webinar on that
This
one.
is a yes/no answer. Can you have multiple avatars? Yes or no?
Yes,
Okay,
and you
there we
should.
go.
100% you should, especially if you have more than one target market. It's essential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to questions that were submitted in advance because we had some really great ones. And the first one here, we're considering Bill.com for client payments. Are there any AI tools we should combine it with to automatically extract invoices from email? And the goal here being to streamline the bill pay process and avoid late payments.
Yeah, I love this question. This is basically the philosophy that we are trying to teach people. This is exactly the kind of thing that people need to be thinking about. Here we have somebody that is dealing with all these invoices coming in, and it's a very manual process. Take it from the email, go enter it into bill.com. And frankly, humans also make errors too. So it's a lot of time. It's really monotonous. But unless you were like multi-million dollar IT budget, you couldn't do it before. With the current technology, this is exactly the kind of thing you can do. As a matter of fact, this question came in yesterday, and we built up a little pilot proof of concept. This was actually a working model. You kind of just very rudimentary, but this gives you an idea of what some of that back end technology can look like. There's a lot of different ones, and very possible and a really great use of AI. Obviously, I think people think very big, like, okay, we're gonna eventually have all these things that happen, and that's true. But that's not where we start. We start with little areas like this, where you can really make a big difference in a part of somebody's workflow. And that's when that adoption within your culture of your company starts happening. Things start getting a little easier, a little better. They're a multiplier, right? So now they're able to spend more time on the things that matter most instead of being stuck entering invoices all day. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, should we take another question?
Yeah.
All right. Are there different levels of AI service? For example, free versus more powerful subscription models, and what are the costs for different levels of subscription model?
Well, this is a big question,
I
right?
know it is. It is.
So the easy answer, or the real basic answer, is yes. There's absolutely different models. There's free versions, there's subscription versions, and we've talked a little bit about the security differences in a lot of those. But it's actually a bit more complicated than that too, because there's some platforms that just allow you to pay the subscription and do as much as that program is capable. And then there's some that you pay the subscription and then you get like tokens, and each of your processes use one of those. When you run out of those, you buy more. So it's a really big question, and costs, depending on what you're trying to accomplish, they can stack up pretty quickly.
Yeah, this is an extremely important topic. I mean, look, from kind of a real basic level, what Forrest was talking about. Does everybody remember back in the days when phone plans weren't unlimited? That's kind of how this is.
Mm.
If you get like your ChatGPT Pro, you got a prompt or a Copilot, and you just kind of talk at it all day and you don't worry about stuff, right? But once you get beyond that, everything is like, think of it like by the minute plan. And it gets a lot more nuanced than that. And also, this is actually where having people who know what they're doing makes a huge difference. Having the wrong model can be like a 20 times cost increase in those usage fees. So it's a whole nother skill optimizing, your AI workflow to be cost effective.
Yeah, I would say if there are specific questions on specific applications, let us know and we can help you out with that. Okay,
Yeah,
move on to the
definitely.
next one. Does using an AI program to spell and grammar check a brief result in have I said that right? Does using an AI program to spell and grammar check a brief result in a breach of the duty of confidentiality?
Yeah, this is a fantastic question. And it's a really important one, especially in the legal space, and compliance. And the answer is it really depends on what type of AI you're using. Some AI programs learn from what you type and might share your client's information with others. These are called training models and are risky, especially for attorneys. Other AI programs just fix your spelling and grammar without keeping your information. These are non-training models and are much safer. Think of it like this. Would you rather use a spell checker that remembers everything you write and might tell other people, or one that just helps you and then forgets? Always pick one that forgets. Check the company's rules to make sure they won't use your client's information to train their AI.
Okay. Can AI be used to create tables of contents and authorities?
Yeah, another great question. Yes, AI is actually really great at this. Making the table of contents citation list for legal documents. It can do it in minutes. What used to take attorneys hours to do by hand. And the AI even can update everything automatically if you change something in your document, which is a blessing for those who know what that is. Tools like TypeLock can format everything perfectly according to court rules. This saves time and reduces mistakes, but remember, use AI tools that don't keep your documents to train on, and always double check the AI's work to make sure it's correct. Think of AI as a really fast, helpful assistant, but you still need the boss who needs to review everything.
Okay, we have another question. Is using AI to start researching issues more effective than or superior to Lexis or Westlaw?
Yeah. So AI and traditional legal databases like Lexis and Westlaw are good at different things. AI is like having a really smart research assistant who can quickly give you ideas and help you understand complex topics. But sometimes the assistant makes mistakes or even makes up fake case names that sound real. And I think you've all heard of this, like hallucination. That's what they call it in this industry. So Lexis and Westlaw are like having access to the actual law library with verified, accurate information. The smart approach is to use both. Start with AI to brainstorm and get ideas, then use Lexis or Westlaw to find the real cases and double check everything. With the right person guiding the AI and carefully checking its work, you can research super fast and find new angles you might have not have thought of.
All right, let's move on. Can AI be used to correct or create a certain tonal writing style in a brief?
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess to
You know,
sound like somebody.
yeah, yeah, exactly. You know, it's actually quite good at this. For attorneys to understand the difference, the what's received by a certain judge can be all the difference on making the trial go the way you want. And AI is incredibly good at figuring out little ways they speak or receive things or how they handle certain things. The complete background on judges is pretty much public record. You know, every trial they've ever been in, you know, this kind of information really can feed an AI and help create fantastic
Yeah. And
briefs.
if you think about the example that Farzan gave earlier about the ghostwriter,
Mhm.
I mean, what's so great about that, right, is that, and AI in general, is that you can feed it exactly what you want in order to have it work the way that you want. So what I mean by that, like in the previous question about, you know, how does it compare to these other programs out there? Well, what's nice, you know, is that you can actually say, I want you to use this data and this data only. Or you can say, I want you to use this data and everything you can find on the internet or whatever. And like Farzan was saying, you know, hey, I want you to look at, you know, every court case that this judge has ever had and the results that have been provided. And I want you to help me write in a way that mirrors those people who were successful. You know, so it's absolutely very, very, very powerful that way.
And
Yeah,
and I have to say two things. Don't just go jump in and ask them, yeah, those questions. You
it's a
might not
setup.
like
Yeah.
you might not like what you see. The reality is, this is quite sophisticated kind of work in AI, and it needs a like a platform built to do it. And we've done it. We do this, and but it's important to know that it's possible and the benefits of it, right? So let's like to recap this question with think of it as like having a writing coach who can keep you and help you sound more persuasive or match the style of a particular judge. And this can make or break everything.
All right. We have I think we can squeeze in a last couple. I think you touched on this one earlier, Farzan. My understanding is that hallucinations are rare in current AI programs. Is that true?
It's not rare at all. As a matter of fact, it's really common. It's not rare. Even the best AI programs get things wrong at the very best 15% of the time. And it can be as high as 60 to 70% of the time.
Mhm.
That's like at its best, that's like getting 3 out of 20 questions wrong on a test. And for legal work, AI might make up a fake case, give wrong information about the law.
Yeah.
You know, it could be pretty critical. You
Yeah.
got to know that it needs to be reviewed for sure.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
For most work, you know.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I was just focusing there just because of the particular impact of something like that. But
Mm.
yes, absolutely. You know, finances, all kinds of things. You need to verify it.
Yeah.
So, look, here's the thing. When you partner with AI experts like the team here, who understands both the technology and the legal work, these tools become incredibly powerful. We know how to work with AI effectively, what questions to ask, how to spot potential problems, and how to get the best results combined with experienced attorneys who really understand the law. This partnership can speed up research, help find new arguments, and catch things you might miss.
Yeah. All right. Those were great questions. I am going to leave this slide up for everybody as we close out. And I'm going to ask just a couple of last questions. Obviously, there's the QR code there for our free AI report. If you want to speak to somebody directly a little more in detail about your particular needs, there's a QR code and our URL down there as well. While we're closing out, I have a couple of last questions. Can you turn the ghostwriter into a live intake agent and even a Delphi character?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Can you turn the ghostwriter into a live intake agent or even a Delphi character?
Yes, absolutely. Um, it can be even voice and over the phone and do incredible things. Intake, appointment setting, you'd be surprised how good it is now. And with the right people um, building those things for you, you can make it incredibly personalized to your brand. And that's really important. People, they can kind of tell that they're talking to a computer, even with the best models these days. But if it's to your brand, the adoption is really good.
Yeah. And I think that this question, I think this is referring to the workflow for the Bill.com question. Is that NAN workflow?
That was it, NAN right there. Yes.
Great. I think we got through all of the questions. That was such a great session. I really hope that everybody took something useful away from that. As I say, we're here to empower you, not to put a stranglehold around your strategy for AI. So on behalf of Farzan, Forrest, and me, thank you so much for spending part of your day with us. And we look forward to seeing you on the next webinar.
Yeah. Thank you for coming, everybody. We really enjoyed this.
Thank you.
Thank
Definitely.
you.